Yeah. What do you mean?
Last day of summer.
Oh my gosh.
Summer.
I'm here. The chair.
We're going to sit next to you.
That's not
We're like 6 girls wearing a jacket like that. Malka, me, you,
Laura, Sarah,
Sarah.
someone else out there.
Yeah, wait to the picture.
You know this thing? There's courage, that's nice.
Thank you. Do you have my name on it? Okay, well, guess what? Before you, I used to sit here.
Or whatever.
No, I was to sit here.
My mom took my spot.
It's a joke.
Today I'm working.
Wow.
Different family or same one? Good. This is same.
Hand sanitizer. This is in Arabic.
Smells cool.
Yeah, it's good quality. The smell of
Rabbi Pape, he went to the cleaning.
Yeah, we have some, so we're not late.
Yeah, what is it called?
I don't know. Like right by Evers.
No, yesterday. Yesterday. Yeah. How was it? Not Hashem, it was amazing.
I love to go to.
You tried this?
Oh, Connie, you missed it last night. I was wearing island. And I know.
yeah, I have the same order.
Connie, you never see me shop or like built up.
Because you're on wheel.
You will.
I know mine.
Never mind.
I'm not gonna come to school next Wednesday.
Why?
Because for me, it's 1 hour to get here and 1 hour to go back. I don't wanna, like, while I'm fasting, I don't wanna travel that much.
You're saying, wait, one. Can we start late that day? We start late.
Yeah, I think around 10, I finish at 1, so,
Oh, wow, it's not worth it, 3 hours.
yeah.
Especially the subway is always unpredictable. The subway is like unpredictable, and it's hard in the station.
So
When it's air conditioned in the
yeah,
train, it's hot in stuffy in
so
the
bad.
station.
That's what I'm gonna make for summer.
Wanna get cinnamon bun?
No, Everson Monroe and Buffalo.
Wow.
Tonight, or no, is it tomorrow that we have shops prep or something?
Yeah, can you let the family know if they need?
I feel like that would be tomorrow, family.
That we're going down this
Sure. I wanna show you.
I feel like
Probably.
here. You only got
It's
Amazon
yours?
USA?
Is it yours? Don't say me. You were like,
Yes.
that's
I
mine.
did. Why?
Look, that's what I did last year.
No. You said it last year.
Wow. Actually?
Oh my gosh.
Sophia, you actually did that also last year?
Wait, oh. There's the pizza.
These are all yours, can I follow this account or no?
Yes, of course. Something for sure. Okay. Something for sure.
But is he cooking?
Good
No.
morning, everybody. Sorry that I'm late.
Yes, I did open it.
You know that you can get this in Charlie Cafe.
Who understands how to use phones? Who's good with phones?
With the phone.
Phone, yeah, okay.
I think I'm
Yeah,
good.
my son just set this up for me, because my old phone wasn't working at all. So I don't know how to turn off the alarm, so the phone doesn't ring in the middle of class. How do I turn off the sound?
The sound.
Put it in silent mode.
Maybe here. But it's gonna be silent all the time.
Or you have to.
Without sound.
Not silent?
Yes, yes.
You can check it here.
Josie, why are you baking cakes?
And here the sound, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh.
You can change, but if you go to once, it's gonna vibrate, so it's gonna, that's good?
Okay.
Okay.
Okay, but we can be together.
Okay, Tanya. We are in the closing hours of Shemitah year. Shemitah year is dedicated to refocusing on God. The Shemitah year, if you're a farmer, you don't work your farm. You don't plow, you don't sow, you don't harvest. You don't buy, you don't sell. You watch your crops decay and rot, and nobody gets any benefit from it. It's very hard spiritually to be a farmer in Shemitah year. It takes a lot of Mesiras Nefesh to give up everything you worked for and trust in God. Very hard. Because when is God going to come through on your side? In the meantime, you're losing hundreds of thousands of dollars. In the meantime, you don't have money to pay the mortgage. In the meantime, you can't pay your credit card. You can't buy the groceries. It's very hard. It's very, very hard. So what are you supposed to do with all that time that you're not working? You're supposed to daven. You're supposed to go to shul and learn. You're supposed to say Tilim. You're supposed to learn Hasidus. Oh, come on. That's a very, very big test. And like I said at the closing moments of yesterday's class, more than 50% of the Jewish farmers in Israel today are doing it. And that's remarkable. That is remarkable. So spiritually, since a person has such Mesiras Nefesh for Hashem, he really gives up the things that are important to him. What is Mesiras Nefesh? Mesiras Nefesh has two meanings. One is you give up your life to save someone else, or you give up your life rather than convert and betray your Jewish religion and betray your connection to God. You give up your life. That's called Mesiras Nefesh, giving up your life. But Mesiras Nefesh takes place day to day. What does it mean day to day? It means there's something you really want to do, and you don't do it. Instead, you go to a class. There's something you really want to eat, and you don't eat it. Instead, you give the money to a poor person. Or there's something you just wanted to do, but you know that Hashem doesn't want you to do it, but you really wanted to do it, and you always used to do it. Like going to a very modern kind of movie. And even you could do it and nobody would know. You could do it in your own room on your computer and nobody would know. But Hashem would know and you don't do it. That's Mesiras Nefesh. Okay, so after these farmers spend the whole year on Mesiras Nefesh, watching their hard work go to waste, and knowing that there's no food coming in until they plant their new crop, which is after Rosh Hashanah, and until it's harvested, until the food starts coming in and they can start to sell it, is another 3-4 months. How are they going to manage? So after all that Mesiras Nefesh, Hashem has to say, listen, you have that much Mesiras Nefesh for me. That's why the sages say Mashiach is coming after a Shemitah year. Because Shemitah year is so hard, and if Jewish people stand up to that test, Hashem can't tell them no. Can't tell them nothing's doing. We should be zeicher. We're in the last minutes now of a Shemitah year, and we should merit the reward that Hashem has promised aside from the fact that with all the Torah learning and davening that we've been doing, that a farmer would be doing, that he normally wouldn't be doing, so he's spiritually prepared, more prepared than any other time of the year for Mashiach to come. The Mesiras Nefesh should stand us in good stead that Mashiach should come. And not just he should come to those farmers with big blessings, he should come to the whole world. Okay, chapter 1, Tanya. We learned that before an infant child is born, a man or a woman, a boy or a girl, the angels come and make him or her swear an oath. Tehi tzaddik, meaning you should be righteous. Oh, today's Wednesday. I filled in yesterday. I filled in Wednesday for yesterday. Okay. We're on page 33, right. And you shouldn't be wicked. And even if the whole world tells you that you are righteous, you are the best in the class, you're the best in the school, you're the best of the best, you don't believe them. Don't believe them. In your own eyes, you should be like a wicked person. And from this, and this is a Mishnah, I told you it's a Brisa, so it's really not a Brisa, but it uses, the Rebbe presents it as a Brisa because he wanted to use the word Tanya, because Tanya has secondary meanings of great strength and holiness. And this is the strength he wants with this book to give a person who learns it the strength to vanquish, means to conquer and destroy all negative forces. But that's a Mishnah. So he brings another Mishnah against it, saying the opposite. That there's a Mishnah we learn in the ethics of the fathers, that a person should never think that he's wicked or she's wicked. Never think that you're bad. Anyone tells you you're bad, don't believe them. They're bad. They're telling you that, then they are bad. A Jewish person is in essence good. And you have to think that you're good, you have to know that you're good, and you have to know that you can do good things, great things. And do them. Because if you think that you're bad, you're going to be, yes, bad and depressed. So many times, a person gets into all kinds of trouble and they say, what happened to you? Why did you end up living like this, doing these things when you come from a very good home, a very fine family? And the person will say, a boy or a girl, boy from yeshiva, a girl from Beis Rivka or from wherever, my teacher always told me I was no good. She always told me I'd end up on the street. They always told me, my father always told me I was a piece of trash. So what do you want from me? So I'm a piece of trash. Don't blame me. So you see, you're never allowed to think that you're bad. You're not allowed. It says in the Mishnah. Who said you're not allowed? The Mishnah says you're not allowed. Because if you think you're bad, you'll be depressed. And depression can lead you to do the most terrible crime. It says there are two things that are not a mitzvah, but one can lead you to do so many mitzvahs, and the other could lead you to do the worst of averas. One is not a mitzvah, one is not, and the other is not an avera, but they can both lead in those directions. What is it that can cause a person to do every avera? And it's not one of the 613 commandments, and that is to be depressed. Depression. Sometimes a person wants to commit suicide. Turns out that they have a certain personality defect that they get very depressed from time to time. And in these periods of depression, they can do the worst, which is take their own life, which is worse than any transgression or any other transgression comes along. And say, why not? What do I have to live for anyway? Why should I do this mitzvah? What do I accomplish? I don't accomplish anything. Hashem doesn't care. That's how a person thinks when he's depressed. Feels isolated, alienated, alone. And what is the thing that can bring a person to do so many mitzvahs? Well, this isn't so much for girls. This is mainly for men. And that is to go to the mikveh every day before davening. I know a person, Rabbi Kanelsky, has a Russian center for Russian Jews in Elizabeth, New Jersey. So he was building a mikveh, and he needed a lot of money to finish the mikveh. And he was almost there. He needed about $10,000 to finish up, make it nice. And he brought to see it, he brought a wealthy person, a supporter to see it. And he told him he needed this money, $10,000. He says, I'm not giving $10,000 for a swimming pool. I'm sorry. I'm not interested. That's where my money should go. So he said, well, you're here. He's a very friendly person, Rabbi Kanelsker, and he's a very strong, wonderful shliach. The Rebbe made him a shliach there when he was a teenager. He didn't even speak any English. He had just come from Russia, from Israel, then Israel. He came here. And on Friday, the boys went out on Mitzrayim, went with the American boys, and he got lost. They went and he lost them. And he was wandering around and wondering, how's he ever going to find his way back to the yeshiva in Morristown? And he saw a group of teenagers, and they were talking Russian. He went over to them, he spoke with them, and they gave him directions. And he put on tefillin with them, of course. And now he had a spot to go to in the next week. And he started going to this spot regularly. And he was a teenager, he was 18, 19 years old. And there was a farbrengen. So all the boys from Morristown came in, and the Rebbe gave out a little bottle of vodka to different shluchim from all over. And they called out the shliach from they called out his name. The Rebbe made him a shliach at the farbrengen. He should be a shliach in this area to the Jews from Russia in that area. So he has a big center. So he invited this guy to come to see the mikveh, and he didn't want to give any money. So he said to him, well, you're here anyway, so why don't you just try it? Use it. So he said, what do I have? What do I do? He showed him there's a dressing room, and you go in, you give him a towel, take a shower, and you go in. He went in. He came out, he said, Rabbi, I don't know what you put in that water, but how come I'm going to give you the money? He gave him $10,000. And he said, I don't know what you put in that water. Because it's a very inspiring thing. Mikveh is a very inspiring thing. It's a very holy thing. You're in this pool of water. There's 4 walls to it. We just had the birthday of the Baal Shem Tov. The Baal Shem Tov brings down that it's brought in the Zohar. The 4 walls of the mikveh correspond to the 4 letters of the name of God. You're surrounded in holiness. It has a profound effect. So there's 2 things that are not a mitzvah and they're not a transgression, but they can lead to a lot of mitzvahs, or they can lead to a lot of, heaven forbid, a lot of transgressions. So that's what the Mishnah says in the Ethics of the Fathers, Pirkei Avos, Al Ti Rasha. You're not allowed to be a Rasha. A Rasha means a wicked person. If you never heard the word before, write it down. Put it in. You have to build up a vocabulary in this class. Rasha means a wicked person. Alti Rasha bifnei atzmecha. You should not be a Rasha in your own eyes. You should not consider yourself to be wicked. Because if you're going to consider yourself to be wicked, you're going to commit suicide. Heaven forbid.
So mikveh is cleansing from all the bad stuff.
What?
So mikveh is cleansing us from all the bad stuff.
Does it clean you from all the bad stuff? It cleans you spiritually, yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
All the what?
Well, yeah, it goes together with tshuva. Tshuva cleanses your averas. The mikveh also cleans you. Like everybody's heard about the flood. After what, 1,600 years after the world was created, there was a big flood. The people were terribly corrupt. And for a whole year, the world was underwater. The world had a mikveh. That was cleansing the world of the corruption. And what was the corruption? Basically, the corruption was hatred and idol worship, and worst of all was stealing from one another. People stealing money from one another. The real cleansing has to be in your heart. The cleansing in your heart is called tshuva. We'll come back. We'll talk a lot about this during the year. But tshuva is a split second. A split second. I just read a story. I had it in my notes. I'd forgotten about it. About some Bahrim that were in, I think they were in Thailand. They were there to meet Israelis. A lot of Israelis, after their term in the army, they go to Thailand to relax. They have beaches there. You can, every sin you want to do is available. So there's a Chabad house there to try and catch these Israeli boys and girls. And many of them go from there on, they go from there to a neighbor next door country, Tibet, to climb the mountains, the famous mountains of Tibet, Mount Everest. So he was there, and there was this one boy, a Bacher, who had grown up in a Russian country, and he was very attracted to the Bachrim. He liked them, but he was brought up not to believe in anything religious. So he said, I'd like to put on tefillin, but I can't because I don't believe in this. I would like to keep Shabbos like you do, but I can't. I don't believe in it. He had a girlfriend. He said, I would like to get married to her, but I can't because I don't believe in this whole concept, the Jewish concept of marriage. I can't. Anyway, the Bachrim were leaving. They were going back. It was a vacation time for them, so they were there on Mivtzayim doing outreach work. And it came time for them to go home. And so they made a big farbrengen to say goodbye to all their friends. And they sang, they were singing. So this particular boy, he asked one of his Israeli friends, his name happened to be Kuti Feldman, and he asked him if he was going to go to New York. He said, yes, I am going to New York for the high holidays, for Rosh Hashanah. He said, would you take a letter for me to the Rebbe? I want to ask what I should do. Because I would like to be religious, but I don't believe in anything. So in the middle of the Farbrengen, this boy came in and gave him the letter. But he didn't join them. He just stood on the side and he watched and he listened. And as they were leaving, he gave him the letter, and he said, I was listening to those songs that you were singing, the nigunim that you were singing, and as I was listening, I felt my heart was like opening up to believe in God. And they left. But the boys who remained behind told him later that the next day he put on tefillin, he started putting on tefillin for the rest of the day. So what happened? That's tshuva. That's what happens. It just happens like in a second. That a person gets literally a change of heart and he turns away from all the negative things. So it's not the mikveh that gets rid of all those things. It's in your heart. It's in your heart. Your heart has to open up. And then you want to be connected to Hashem. You don't want to be connected to anything else. That's tshuva. Tshuva not only cleanses you of all the bad things, it makes the bad things into good things. Because now all these bad things that kept you away from Torah and mitzvahs, they make you so bitter and they drive you to a very high level, higher than any tzaddik could go. Because no tzaddik, you elevate all the negative things. Because they become your inspiration. And since they become part of your Torah and mitzvahs now, that's why Baal Tshuva is higher than a tzaddik. Because the tzaddik never experiences this feeling that he doesn't believe in God. The tzaddik never eats non-kosher food. The tzaddik never breaks Shabbos. So when a person who eats non-kosher food and breaks Shabbos, etc., does tshuva, and he no longer eats non-kosher food, he no longer breaks Shabbos, and his desire not to eat non-kosher food is much greater than someone who grew up in a kosher home. Unfortunately, people grow up in a non-kosher home, grow up in a kosher home, keeping Shabbos and Yom Tov. Secretly, deep down, the Yetzer Hara is telling them, too bad for you. You grew up in a kosher home. You don't know how good non-kosher food is. You don't know how much fun it is to go to a movie on Saturday. And a boy from a kosher home sort of wonders, what's he missing out on? And sometimes he's led to do things just to see, which is a terrible, terrible thing. Because once you do that, you play into the hands of the negative forces. They get a hold of you. You get a grip, a foothold. And one bad thing leads to another. But that's how tshuva takes you way beyond where the tzaddik can never go. Because tshuva elevates all the bad things that you might have done without realizing that they were bad. You didn't know, but that didn't make them good. But when you do tshuva, that makes them good. And then the water of the mikveh cleanses you. It completes the cleansing. And that's the way it goes in the Beis Hamikdash, that a person does something wrong. He or she brings a sacrifice, a korban. So we can't do that, so we give charity. And then he goes to the mikveh. Or she goes to the mikveh. Okay? So therefore, the Mishnah says, a person should never be unhappy. How can I not be unhappy if I'm unhappy? You have to think a happy thought. And you have to hang around with happy people. And you have to do things to make other people happy. When you make other people happy, it makes you happy. Right?
Yeah.
Write that down. When a person feels unhappy and he doesn't know what to do about it, you should find some project that you can do quickly. Get involved in a project that makes other people happy. That'll get you out of yourself. Okay. But the answer isn't so simple. Just don't be unhappy. Because if I'm not going to be unhappy, I'm never going to allow myself to be unhappy, then what's going to keep me from doing a transgression? A person who subscribes to a different movement in Judaism, which does not practice Torah and mitzvahs, will have the attitude, well, I don't keep Torah and mitzvahs like you do, but I'm very close with Hashem. Hashem loves me, and Hashem forgives me for whatever I do, because Hashem is a loving God. So I can do whatever I want. When I was a youngster growing up, we had a rabbi. If you came to synagogue, if you came to the temple on Saturday morning, he would play golf with you on Saturday afternoon. And he was a good golfer. You allowed to play golf on Shabbos? Anybody with me?
Yes. But also,
How are you going to play golf on Shabbos? How are you going to get to the golf club? You're not allowed to carry. You're not allowed to make a fire.
you can walk.
You're not allowed to hit a ball. You're not allowed. It's impossible. You can't play golf on Shabbos. But if you don't care, so you do whatever you want, and you say, well, God is close with me. So a person doesn't think that he ever does any bad. He'll permit himself to do every transgression.
Yeah, but if it's like,
Are you girls with me?
Yeah, we're arguing over whether or not you can actually play golf on Shabbos.
no, you can, but if you just go and like, it's not a
No,
Shabbos.
How are you going to just go?
You walk there.
You're going to walk there.
Yeah.
Do you have a golf?
I understand that, I understand, but if it's like,
You live across the road from a golf course?
no, but maybe.
I used to.
So,
Could be.
you don't have to carry.
But you're not allowed to play ball on Shabbos either. Because on Shabbos, you don't do any weekday activities.
And what if I don't do golf on weekdays?
Like basketball even.
Ah,
Throwing a baseball, throwing a football. We don't do any of these. You don't do, Shabbos is holy to God. It's not holy to basketball. Shabbos is not a time to play basketball. You go to the bungalows, you see all the kids are playing basketball because their parents don't know what to do with them. So they let them play basketball because they're bored. But it's not right. Doesn't make it right. It's a weekly activities. It says in the Kiddush, if you look in your Siddur, in the Kiddush before Shabbos by day, it quotes from the prophet Isaiah that on Shabbos we make everything different. We don't do our weekday activities. We don't even walk the same as we walk normally during the week. And one of the primary laws of the Shabbos is you can't move property from one place to another place. So how are you going to play ball? How are you going to play golf? What are you going to do with your golf clubs and how are you going to hit the ball? You're up against a brick wall. You can't play golf on Shabbos. But if you want to, you could always do it. I mean, you could do it, but it's a lot of transgressions.
Can you play cards or card games on Shabbos? Yeah. I know a lot of times you.
Well, if you really want to play cards, they have Jewish card games
yeah.
that could be considered educational. But to play cards bichlal is a question because it's gambling. And gambling is considered, according to Allah, stealing. Even though the people who gamble know that they could lose their money or that the people they're playing with are prepared that they should lose their money. So even though you're prepared that someone should steal your money, it still is stealing. And stealing is still a transgression. So therefore, any kind of cards is really forbidden. Unless it's Torah cards. Unless it's educational cards. And what about educational cards from a different philosophy? Tarot cards, fortune-telling cards? No, you're not allowed to do fortune-telling. That's connected to idol worship. So we used to have here in the community baseball cards, only instead of baseball players, they would have teachers of the Talmud, Torah cards. The kids collected them. It was a lot of fun. Okay. So therefore, we need the first teaching. Hello, come back. We need the first teaching. You should always be wicked in your own eyes, you should consider yourself like a Rasha, because if you don't admit to the fact that you made a mistake and you did a transgression, why shouldn't you do any transgression in the world? I just had for lunch some leftover chicken from Shabbos. I fried it up. It was yummy. And now it's like 3:00, 3 hours later. And I didn't have that much. I just had a little bit. I'm hungry. I'm really hungry. And there's some yogurt. Somebody puts out yogurt or cottage cheese or pizza. They bring in pizza from the pizza store and leave it out for the girls in the dorm. And you would love that pizza. And your Yetzer Hara says, so to have, you're hungry. And the Yetzer Tov says, but you just had meat 3 hours, you had chicken 3 hours ago, you have to wait 6 hours. And the Yetzer Hara says, so what? Hashem will forgive you. Hashem knows you're hungry. And you're going to go to class afterwards. You'll be able to concentrate. That's how the Yetzer Hara talks to you. Gives you reasons. So therefore, you have to have that first teaching, the very first teaching, Al Ti Rasha. You swore before you were born, you're not going to be wicked. You're not going to have the pizza 3 hours after chicken. That's milk and meat. Why not? I don't know. I don't know why not. There are laws in the Torah. We don't understand all of them. I understand why I'm not supposed to steal, but I don't understand why I have to keep kosher. That's something beyond understanding. Why is it that I can have kosher meat and it's a mitzvah to eat kosher meat, and I have yogurt or cheese and it's kosher? They're both kosher. But if I put them together, they become something new that's forbidden. Why? We don't know. That's called a statute. It's higher than reason. It's not lower than reason. It's not foolish. That's what the Goyim say. Goyim say it's stupid. It's foolish. No, the Torah says it's higher than reason. It's something you can't understand. You can't understand God, and you can't understand everything that He says or everything that He wants from us. He wants from us to serve Him on a certain level that's higher than what we understand. We're not just serving God according to what we understand. What we understand we'll do, and what we don't understand we're not going to do, because I don't want. No. A servant of a king isn't a servant when he wants to be. And when he doesn't want to be, he doesn't have to be. Servant of the king is always a servant. He gets up as a servant. He lives his day as a servant. He eats as a servant. He talks as a servant. He goes to sleep as a servant. And he sleeps as a servant. And he wakes up as a servant. We're standing before Rosh Hashanah. On Rosh Hashanah, we say, Avinu Malkeinu, our Father, our King. If we're your children, please treat us like a father treats his children. And if we are your servants, treat us as a master treats his servants. We want to be Hashem's servants. We want him to accept us as his people. And we say, well, we'll be your servants when we want to be. He said, I'm not interested in that part. If I'm an employer, I don't want an employee who's going to work for me when he wants to. And when he doesn't want to, he won't do what I ask him. Get yourself another job. So Hashem can say, get yourself another king. In fact, that's what happens on Rosh Hashanah. Erev Rosh Hashanah, Sunday night, Hashem abdicates the throne. You know what that means? That's English. Abdicates the throne. He says, I'm out of this. I'm not your king anymore. I'm not your king anymore. I don't want this. I don't want to be a king over people who don't want me to be their king, who don't want to follow lawless people, don't follow the law. And we say, no. We want you to be our king. We'll follow all the laws. We'll do everything, morning, noon, and night. Please take us back. That's the whole service of Yom Kippur, of Rosh Hashanah. So therefore, the whole night of Rosh Hashanah, we shouldn't be joking around and laughing and talking nonsense and wondering what's going on in Ukraine or what's doing with the King Charles. We should be saying Tehillim and filling this empty time. Fill the empty time with psalms, with Tillim. Say lots of Tillim. As much as you can. And when we blow shofar, that is the coronation. When Hashem says, okay, you win. I'll be your king. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. We're inspired. Good news.
You know, the first time I ever attended slichas, I was 27 years old. I never knew about slichas, never.
Oh.
And I went to shul for slichas the first time, and the guy who led the davening, he was a short little guy, and he davened with screaming and crying and with great emotion. It was very, very emotional. Crying to Hashem, please, forgive us. And when he finished, he turned around and he burst out laughing.
But is that Joy's style?
Everybody was in a good mood after that. What?
It's not Joy's style. You cannot wear slippers.
You're having too much of a good time and can't cry.
No, you don't have to cry because in the culture, Hashem accepts your tshuva, yeah.
Yeah.
So why is it crying?
She was comfortable.
I slept 5 hours.
75 hours, that's a gift.
Yeah, true.
Yeah, same. Yesterday I
I was
did
happy.
Rabbi, what can I do if I miss one day?
No, they book like new.
I think I would feel like if I could stay at, women are technically not.
Yeah, I know, but the minimum that you have to do is 4 days.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Это в зависимости от того, когда начинается Рош ха-Шана.
Да.
Потому что считается, типа, Моцей Шаббас, после Шаббас, и минимум, если Рош ха-Шана начинается через 4 дня после Шаббата, тогда минимум 4 дня. Если Рош ха-Шана начинается в понедельник, как у нас сейчас, он начинается в воскресенье вечером. Но поэтому делаем 8 дней.
We can't bring our.
For me, it's maximum 8 and minimum 4.
Минимум 4, да.
And that's why we start with the
So how?
Generally, morning. Okay, so now
we're at home.
Are you going?
Generally, you're supposed to do morning but halacha in other
Bye, Roshi. Bye, Shoshi.
Bye.
What? I don't know this song.
Wow, stunning.
I don't know if I know this. I'm not sure. Whatever.
You have to do something, but I never want to do
No, I don't have.
What's the